Slipping into summary is probably the most common mistake that a writer makes, but another common mistake is what I called getting lost in interpretation. What this means is that a writer just explains what the text means, the message of the text, rather than showing how that message is developed. To frame it in our definition of analysis, the writer is focused on just the whole, the message or the meaning of the text, rather than really looking at the pieces and how they create that whole. Look at this passage here. The topic sentence doesn't identify any literary devices. Instead, it just states the theme. Throughout the paragraph, there's no discussion of how this message is developed. Instead, the writer just offers plot summary and then a message drawn from that plot. It's particularly easy to fall into this mistake if you are using reader response theory to analyze a text. So depending on your theory and depending on your investment in the message, be very careful to make sure that you are really looking at the literary devices and not just simply explaining what the message or meaning of the text is. To avoid offering interpretation rather than analysis, you can follow two key steps. First, make sure your paragraph topic sentence has a claim that focuses on literary devices. Remember our formula, how does A accomplish B? Make sure that A, the literary device, is part of your topic sentence. Next, check your paragraphs to see where you discuss the theme. Generally, a theme or the text meaning should be presented in the introduction of your paper, the conclusion of a specific paragraph, and the conclusion of your paper. Literary devices should be the focal point of each paragraph and the bulk of each paragraph within the body of your paper. Now that we've discussed some of the mistakes that writers make, let's look at a true analysis paragraph. Pause this presentation and read through the paragraph, thinking about the question, how does A accomplish B? The highlighted text is the A. Can you identify the literary devices that this writer is analyzing? Also, try to identify the B in this paragraph. In other words, what is the whole that these pieces create? Pause the video here, read through the paragraph, seeing if you can identify A and B. Alright, how'd you do? What was the B? The phrase, the theme that repentance is possible, probably gives that away. Let's evaluate this paragraph based on what we've learned. I'm not saying that this is a perfect paragraph, but it follows the concepts that we've been exploring. First, there's no straight summary. The paragraph begins with a claim that connects the literary device to theme. Next, the paragraph doesn't work through the story chronologically. Yes, it does begin with the son's request for his inheritance, but it then jumps to the son's service as pig herder, and it stays focused on this one event. It makes connections between this plot point and the son's characterization. And finally, it connects that to the theme at the end of the paragraph. Notice that the highlighted phrases are the writer's own conclusions about the son's character and connection to the literary devices between these conclusions. The text itself doesn't say that the younger son was prideful, but the writer concluded this based on the literary devices. Evidence from the text proves this conclusion, but the writer makes those connections clear for the reader. Use this paragraph as a model for your own analyses that you will be writing in this class. To review what we've learned in this presentation, first, remember that an analysis looks at the pieces of a text or the literary devices in the text and how they relate to a whole. As you conduct your analysis, ask the question, how does A, the literary devices that you've identified, accomplish B? Make sure that you've clearly identified what B is, theme, characterization, setting, etc. Make sure that you develop topic sentences that connect the literary devices to your claim. And finally, be careful to avoid plot summary and interpretation of the text. Refer to these steps frequently as you write to ensure that you are conducting a true analysis, and then you will be successful in your literary analysis essays.